Hi, welcome to Computer Crime and Forensics, Module 1, Introduction, and Who are the Computer Criminals? So some questions to think about. What is a crime? What are the necessary attributes of a crime? Crime is an offensive act against a society. It violates a law, and it's punishable by the government. So the two main parts here. It's got to violate at least one law, and it's the government, not the victim, that punishes the violator. How do we classify crimes? Basically, there are serious crimes in Canada, indictable offenses, and these are punishable by fine and more than 1 year in prison. And less serious crimes, summary offenses, punishable by a fine and less than 1 year in prison. There's also the aspect of civil versus criminal charges. In a civil case, you're actually suing someone, so the charges are brought by a person or by a company. In this case, parties must show proof that they're entitled to the evidence, as opposed to criminal charges, which are brought by the government, but law enforcement agencies have the authority to seize evidence. Another point is the burden of proof is much less in a civil case. In a civil case, nobody can go to jail. They can lose money, but since people's liberty isn't at stake, the burden of proof is much less in a civil case than in a criminal court case. As an example, emails are not often admissible in criminal cases, but they are admissible in civil cases. So what is a hacker? It's used many ways today. It actually used to be a term of respect. These days it's meant more as indication of someone who's a criminal. The original meaning of the word was, as I said, something else. At MIT, they used to have college pranks, things like putting a replica of a police car up on top of one of the buildings, hiding the president's office, and these sorts of things. And these were referred to as hacks. If you visit the URL shown, it'll list some of the more popular and more famous hacks done at MIT. So a hack evolved to become a project undertaken or a product built solely to perform some constructive goal with some wild pleasure taken just being involved in the project. So this became associated then with creative, unorthodox computer solutions and a term of respect. When I first started the program, if you were called a hacker, that meant that you were a very good programmer. You could get things done. And many of these people went on to found Microsoft, Oracle, Apple, all the major companies now were founded by what would have been called hackers back, say, in the 70s. The term hacker, the meaning changed a little in, say, 1983 with the movie War Games. Basically, it showed how people from home, teenagers in this case, could access computer networks and do lots of interesting things. In the case of the movie, started a simulated nuclear war, which the governments actually thought was a real nuclear war. So hacker culture, several books written about this. Stephen Levy wrote a very famous book in 1984 called Hackers. And part of the hacker ethic is access to computers. Everybody should have access to computers and all the information stored on them. All information should be free. Mistrust authority, promote decentralization. Hackers should be judged by their hacking, not age, race, position. And you can create art and beauty on a computer. Most of these I think people think is okay. Mistrusting authority depends a little on culture you're in and what your job is. And computers can change your life for the better. The 3 C's of hacking. If you're a hacker or if you know a hacker, they're going to show these attributes. First one is curiosity. They want to know how things work and why they work like that. If you're a hacker, as soon as you get a new electronic device, as soon as you get an iPhone, you take it apart to see how it works. That's the curiosity. And then try to figure out, is there another way that we can do this? The second step, control. How can I control this system? How can I get this system to do something? And the last one is conscious intent. Now that I know how it works, I know how I can control it, now I'm going to use it to do something. It could be good or bad, but these are the 3 C's of hacking. Curiosity, how does this work? Control, how can I make this do something? And conscious intent, actually doing something with it. So let's look at a few of the terms for hacker types. There's a cracker. Crackers are definitely bad guys. These are people who crack into systems. What's a white hat? White hat are ethical hackers. These are people who work for the good guys. Often they're reformed crackers. Probably the most famous hacker was Kevin Mitnick, who was definitely sort of on the bad side. Now he's become a good guy, and he has a security company. In fact, a lot of ex-hacker types do have their own security companies and make large amounts of money advising companies on how to keep people like them out of their systems. Other examples of white hat hacking would be software testing, verification of software functions, security, reverse engineering, taking source code or taking the actual program and reverting that to the source code, and training people how to use software. So the idea of hiring a white hat is that only a hacker can beat a hacker. There's also gray hats. These guys are generally on the good guys, but can become bad guys. An example of this would be a penetration testers. These people are hired by companies to see if their systems are secure. So what they do is they try to crack the system, either remotely via the internet or even physically going into the company's building and trying to steal information. Penetration testers typically not much liked by other types of hackers because they make money from hacking, and of course they're being hired by authority figures. And what's listed here are the business ethics for penetration testers. Basically, be sure that you do what you're being paid for and not go beyond the scope of your job. There are black hats. Black hats are definitely bad guys. These are crackers and freakers and so on. Talk a little bit about computer forensics. To be a computer forensics investigator, you need 3 sort of spheres of knowledge. You need to know about legal procedures and laws of evidence. You need to know about computer technology. You've got to know how computers work. And you've got to know something about investigative techniques. Computer forensics can reveal a lot of information. As listed here, there's many different types of things that we can get from analyzing a computer. And we can also recover information that was thought to be lost or thought to be erased. Anything that's been stored on a computer, we've got a relatively good chance of trying to get that information back. And during this course, we'll look at several techniques for doing that. So, what should you do next? Well, read Chapter 1 from the text and consider your answers to the questions shown. Read Chapter 3 from the text and think about these questions. Read the additional course notes on hacktivism posted on Blackboard. View the videos in the video folder. Add to the discussions from the My Groups. And finally, take the online quiz. So, hope you have fun and good luck.